Joshua Hayward, founder of Breath of Life School in Yellow Springs, Ohio, and thanks for joining me for Life Readings, this week in the Stars and Cards. So if you're the kind of person who's seeking info and guidance on how to move out into the circumstances and events of your life, how to deal with people and go towards your goals, really crush it, that's fantastic. But if you're also the type of person who is seeking spiritual meaning, is looking to build a strong core in wisdom and understanding, and be blessed by both of them, well, then you've come to the right place, because we're going to stir up an admixture of both the inner wisdom and the outer wisdom for you each week here at Stars and Cards. And, well, let's just get to it. Our lives change as the seasons change. And we're at that seasonal shifting right now. On the week of June 20th, actually on the 21st, and then even more so on the 22nd, we have the summer solstice. And yeah, we begin to relate to our lives in a different way. And to be aware of that is so important. And of course, this turning is very punctuated by all kinds of planetary activity. And so hope you got some rest last week, as was advised, for that sort of slow planetary activity, because this week things speed up. And I think that we'll notice them in ourselves. I've already begun to feel different. Sort of starting about 2 or 3 days ago, I could tell my body was shifting into something else, and my consciousness began to shift into something else. Of course, yet to be defined, yet to be determined. It's kind of exciting. We have on Sunday, right away, we have Jupiter stationing to go retrograde from Pisces, from 2 degrees of Pisces, and it will retrograde all the way back to 22 Aquarius, and really be a majorly Aquarian thing for a while in our lives. Yet, right now, during the solstice, we have that shifting, and there's when Jupiter stations, it usually brings good feelings of well-being and inspiration, and with it in Pisces, it wants us to believe new things. It wants us to believe, maybe it wants us to stop believing at all and just move into our knowingness. Maybe it wants us to release the beliefs that are not working for us anymore. And we talked about that a little bit, all that thinking and energy going on in the last couple of weeks during the last couple episodes of This Week in the Stars and Cards. Right now, we're being prepared to let Spirit infuse us. With Jupiter's in Pisces, a lot of Spirit is present, really infusing us with inspiring kind of ways of looking at things. And so we might be not too averse to letting go of what we maybe don't need anymore. Jupiter is stationing on a basic square to the nodal axis of the moon, which is that destiny point. Sagittarius, where we've been, Gemini, where we're going. Lots of intellect, lots of communication, lots of speaking and writing and that kind of stuff. We have the eclipse with that kind of stuff going on. Okay, now we're at this place where a lot of that stuff's been loosened up. Maybe we can begin to get a new take and a new sort of a fresh inspiration, good feelings to move forward here, and to let go of what we don't need anymore. Okay, Mercury is going direct, I believe. Yeah, right on the 22nd as well. Okay, so we've got Mercury going from that retrograde motion stationing to go direct. And it's at 16 degrees of Gemini. And so that sort of takes a little bit of load off of our mind, because the things begin to move in a more step-by-step direct type of motion in our lives. So some of the crazy, this last Mercury retrograde, these 3 weeks have been really nutso. And we've had some really insanely packed Mercury retrogrades in the last couple of years. This one, in its ruler sign, Gemini, being a part of an eclipse was really, boy, I can't even get into telling you how many things I got a chance to look at and go, okay, well, maybe I do need to look at things in a different way. Maybe you can relate to that as well. So that's a pretty big thing that's happening. We got Mercury going direct on the 22nd, right on the day of the solstice. We got Jupiter stationing on the 20th. And Jupiter is about consciousness. It's about the bigger picture. Mercury usually has to do with the smaller picture. And with both of those planets kind of changing direction, one going one way and the other one going another, it's kind of a good time for us to think about the small picture in our lives and the big picture, not only in our own lives, but in the great diverging times of, guess what? Oh, life here on the planet for humanity. Yeah, and the things that are going on there. We tend to lose ourselves and get lost in trying to fit into what's expected of us and what's happening. We want to feel a part of things, yet we want to maintain our own space too. So boundaries and consciousness are kind of a good thing to think about this week. You spend a lot of time sometimes reading up on articles in the internet especially that seem to be interesting. And how much time do we spend that might be wasted in some of that stuff? One way to look at things is to really be more precise about how we research. And I might just be speaking to myself here, I might, hopefully I am preaching to the choir, but hopefully everybody else too. Where do we spend our time taking our communication? Where do we put out our thoughts to? These are some important things for this week in terms of Mercury and Jupiter and their changing directions. On the 24th, I believe it is, which would be what Thursday? Yeah, we've got a full moon. We just came out of those eclipses. This will be a full lunar experience, but not an eclipse. And this one is in Capricorn, okay, because the sun is in the sign of Cancer. And by Thursday, it'll just move to like the degree, three degrees. And so the full moon will be at 3 Capricorn. And that's got to do with releasing maybe a lot of emotional energy. You've been striving around things with your family and trying to get your own sense of well-being, on the inner, doing things to protect that, really maybe vacationing, spending time with the family, with the kids and things like that. But trying to get a really good avenue of balance between the family and profession and the outer world, and to release anything around that in consciousness, to say goodbye to a lot of things that are preventing a good connection in your life between those entities. Once again, between thinking and feeling, so much of that going on, and then between family and profession, these are some things like find yourself this week as the nexus as these things begin to swirl. There'll be some emotional intensity around these things. I feel like we'll be feeling really good, and then we might be going through a roller coaster with emotions when we get hit with some other dynamics that might change us. That might challenge us. So this is a good week to keep those things in mind. And then on Friday, June 25th, which is like right almost, it's so close to the full moon, we have a Neptune station. And the Neptune is at 23 degrees of Pisces, so it's not connected mathematically or geometrically to the full moon, but it is so important to us because it's still in that sign of Pisces. It's trying to get us to move as it went into Pisces some years ago, and it's Neptune in Pisces. That's where the sign that it was in when it was discovered, and in the 1800s, and now it's back in that sign, and it's in the latter third of that sign. It's been trying to get us trying to get us to let go of our overtly materialistic attitudes towards life, because life has thrown us so many curveballs on financial and government and all that stuff coming at us, prices going up all the time and everything. We kind of get in a place where, well, more money is the answer to everything. No, we just got to make more money, and that just isn't going to cut it in the long run. We need to bring our financial world and our emotional and psychological world, our financial world and our spiritual world, our financial world and that world of spiritual growth and well-being. We need to bring some balance into that stuff too. We need to learn how to relate to one another. With Neptune and Pisces, it's brought what we believe all to the surface, and there are so many beliefs and belief systems rolling around and fighting at one another, and of course this has been the age of Pisces, and of course what the age of Pisces, it didn't turn us into the spiritual transcendence that Jesus kind of typified and wanted us to move into. What it did was it showed us to what extent that religions and also these beliefs in all that black and white stuff, and there's so much that's bad and so much that's evil. We've come to a place where we're all swimming around in all these belief systems, and we're part of that soup, that spiritual soup. It's time that we let go of the beliefs on such a level that it puts us in death grips with other factions and other people who believe different things. It's time that we released negative beliefs in a way to where we can actually talk to one another. And maybe even for you to talk to yourself. Sometimes we don't even know what we believe. Anyway, that's the type of week that it is. And so let's pull some cards. And remember, balance between these worlds. And that's how we want to recreate. We're creating a new paradigm on this planet. Let it be one where we're moving into Christ consciousness. And that is from where we all come. And we don't need to be Christians so much. We just need to know that we're all children of God. We have God within us. And so I just call out to all of you to learn how to get along with your neighbor. And we can be empowered by our beliefs, but when we're pointing our fingers at other people's beliefs and saying that they're wrong, we're not being inclusive. In humanity, it upsets that swirling connection that we have. Anyway, you could see I get passionate about these things. I just want the world to be a better place. So I'm going to pull 3 cards for this week. All right, and see what you think about that. See what we can come up with. Oh, well, first of all, yeah. Well, here we have the Queen of Swords. And that's that freedom. And she's the liberator of the mind that thinks that somebody else is wrong, or that we're wrong about things. That we can't use our creative skills to go out about, do this. No, we've got to do what we're told, or we've got to do... living by that sense of obligation might be one of the things that could be let go of. Certainly we have obligations, but let's not come from there. And also, let's not come from fear. Let's make our choices from our hearts, okay? So that's what we need to be liberated from this. That's what the Queen of Swords is. And the second card is, oh, right, yeah, to be creative and to have love in our lives. This is the Princess of Beauty, the Princess of Love and Truth, the Princess of feelings, of water, of cups. She's like a creative princess or goddess. And she's making beauty a real thing. She's making love a real thing. So this is what we need that to liberate, to move into this type of card. Okay, the third card is, wow, this is interesting. This is a money card, and this is wealth, the 10 of discs. And, you know, for those of us who aren't 1%ers, this may be a relative word, but I also like to think of this as resources. And so we really are talking about a balance between creativity and love, and the ability to be with our family, to be at home, and to feel like we have meaningful lives, and yet go out there into the world and do something that's also meaningful, and to have a balance there. So yeah, okay, here it is. Here's the, and so we might be looking at resources that are becoming available through, you know, I don't know where they're at. I've stopped paying attention to which stimulus and when and all of that stuff, but there might be some of that. But I'd rather us look at it, be responsible in our own lives for tapping into the resources that we need. This is a week where that's available to us. So we've got something to chew on here. We've really got something to get into with all of these planets doing all these intense things this week. So, I was talking about materialism, and then we get the 10 of discs. That doesn't mean to be materialistic so much. It just means that we do value on the planet. We value money. We value what's going to make it work. We value our resources. So anyway, this is that week when all those things can be, you know, kind of coming together and pulling together, and to make it an awesome summer. So I'm going to leave it right there for this week with this session, and just want to just put it out there that if you're really feeling like you're benefiting from this series and from these episodes of This Week in the Stars and Cards, from these Breath of Life readings, subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button. And I'm told that you can also set it for notifications too. I'd really encourage anyone to go ahead and get notified. I'm putting out stuff on either Sunday or Monday, trying to get it out on Sunday. Sometimes stuff happens. And sometimes I know that I forget. So go ahead and set those notifications. And also to leave you with the thought, be sure to look for the divine in all things. If we want that life that we really desire from that loving space at the center of the heart where Christ consciousness lives, that's the thing to do.